Hey, everybody out there. Today we have Gerald Celente back with us, the very famed and famous Trends Forecaster. Has been so accurate over the years, what's going on with the economy and other events that affect your lives out there. And I'm talking with Gerald as a very disappointed man with good reason, and this stems from last month's rally, Peace and Freedom, and his base in Kingston, New York, with no media coverage, even not his hometown newspaper. Gerald, tell us about that.
Yeah, we spent, tens of thousands, a lot of money to put this thing on. And we had big names, Judge Andrew Napolitano, Scott Ritter, Gary Null, Progressive Radio Network, tens of millions of followers. Phil Giraldi, former CIA guy.
Yeah.
And we sent out tens of thousands of press releases over a period of 3 weeks. Zero coverage. If the rally was to support Ukraine, they would have given us tons of stuff. One of my tenants over here, I own the historic buildings and on most historic four corners in America, and 3 of them. The other one's a museum.
Yeah.
A place called Rough Draft. My tenant. And you've been in there when I used to have the conferences there. Beautiful place. Right. They put up a sign. They're closing at 2 p.m. because of a political rally.
Wow.
It's not a political rally. Nothing about politicians. How dare you, Celente, have a rally for peace? Why, I'm an American. I swallow the crap that they shove down my throat.
You know what?
They tell me to get vaxxed. I get vaxxed. I hate you for not getting vaxxed. I'm an American. I believe we should be sending over $60 billion to Ukraine to keep bloodying the killing fields as our country goes down the crapper. And boy, do I hate those Russians. But I love George Bush for lying us into the Iraq War. I love George Bush for the 20-year Afghan War. I love the Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner Obama for destroying Libya, for destroying Syria, destroying Yemen. You are a piece of scum, Celente. We hate you because you hate war. You hate dictators, and we love them. We are America. All right?
Gerald, what I find amazing about this is they didn't even do hit pieces on you, total blackout, total shutdown, ignoring you, and maybe you'll go away or nobody will know that you're there anymore. And, brief history again, you used to be on all the networks until you went off the reservation with a narrative, and now no more Celente anywhere in the media except on your website and people who follow you and repost what you say. So tell us about how that dramatic decline occurred overnight and what precipitated that, where suddenly you were persona non grata.
Well, it happened when USA Today was a big newspaper. And I used to be on Oprah, the Today Show, Good Morning America, everybody. Fox and Friends, tons of times. USA Today in 2000, we put our new trend alert, the new top trends for the new year out in December for the coming year. And in December 2000, the headline in USA Today read, 2001 won't be our year, Trendseer says.
Right. And
I warned that a wave of anti-Americanism was sweeping the globe. This is right before 9/11. And 9/11 happens. Oh, why did it happen? I said, look at America. Look at all the people Bill Clinton killed over in Iraq. Over 500,000 children under the age of 5, according to the interview with Madeleine Albright, may she rot in hell, the former UN ambassador at the time, on Leslie Stahl's 60 Minutes, when Leslie Stahl asks her, is the price of 500,000 dead Iraqi children worth the sanctions and the war that Bill Clinton has put on them? And she said, yes, it is. Oh, those dirty Russians, right? Imagine if the Russians did that. Oh, and by the way, just last week, the Israelis only killed about 50 people, about 15 children, 12 women, but that's okay. They could kill anybody they want. in the land that is, quote, occupied, stolen. But it's okay. You're an anti-Semite if you say anything about that.
Right.
So now let's go back. Then the Afghan war starts. Everybody has what happened. I said, look what's going on in Israel, the Yugoslav war, the Kosovo war, what they're doing in Iraq. Bill Clinton bombing every place all throughout Africa. I said, payback's a bitch. And I said, we're not going to win this war because if Alexander the Great couldn't pull it off, if the British at the height of the British Empire into the Valley of Death, Road to 600, couldn't pull it off, if the Russians couldn't pull it off and they're right next door, what makes you think we're going to win? Why, you're anti-American. You don't swallow the bullshit. How dare you? And then the Iraq war said the same thing. Boop, that was it. That was it. Cut off. Cut off. Cut off.
And again, to the extent where they don't even do hit pieces on you, they just don't want people to know about you anymore. And also the speakers you had, major figures there who know what they're talking about, great backgrounds, great perspective. They don't get any coverage in the media anymore either. Let's go through some of them now. You have Judge Napolitano, who used to be on the networks, and now you don't see him there anymore.
No, blacklisted.
Yeah.
Because he came out against Trump and what some of the things going on. And they were friends, by the way, for 35 years. Yeah. They know each other. But he's a man. He says what he believes. And you can't go against the line. And then Scott Ritter. Scott Ritter. Yeah, Scott Ritter, the guy that was the UN weapons inspector that said that Saddam Hussein did not have weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al-Qaeda. Right. And this guy's a former Marine.
Yeah.
Oh, Phil Giraldi? Oh, you mean the former CIA operative that quit the CIA because all the CIA guys knew that there were no weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al-Qaeda? Oh, they're bringing Trump up on charges? How about bringing little Georgie Bush up on charges? How about Dick Cheney? How about Condoleezza Rice? How about all those that lied us into the Iraq war? Not a word. Not a word. This country's going down the crap a big time. So those is Gary Null, Progressive Radio Network.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Gerald, this brings to mind now, the latest assault on Trump, no matter what you think of him, how do you see what they're doing here, trying to get him every which way, I think, on specious charges and reasons? What does that portend for the future? Again, we become a dictatorial state, a communist fascist state. Look what they did to that congressman, the FBI. He's in a car with his wife and his kids. They pull him over. Give me your cell phone. Yeah, Pennsylvania congressman. I live in Pennsylvania. Yeah, it's amazing what they're doing. It's the Gestapo. Yeah. I guess they're going to come after me next too, and they got nothing on me. What do you masturbate to, Celente? Maybe that's about it. Here's something else I'd like to get into a little bit with. Alex Jones. Now, technically, I guess, he's guilty of slander or libel because he accused them directly. He didn't say, in my opinion, could be, according to some people. So maybe technically he was at fault. However, are they going to roll this into a general assault on opinions, even when it's stated as opinion? They'll find some way to finesse it that way to shut down any dissenting opinions. Well, they've already done it. How dare you question the drug dealers that promote a vaccination? Yeah. Why, that's misinformation. Why, how dare you question anything the government says? It's already happened. Yeah. We're in a communist fascist state. Fascist in the sense it's the merger of state and corporate powers. Look at the bill that they just passed. Look how much it benefits the big corporations. Look how they give the hedge funds and the private equity groups. Hey, we don't have to pay the taxes that you do. We're billionaires. You're just a piece of scum. All you are is a plantation worker of Slavelandia. The Deficit Reduction Act is anything but, correct? It's a joke. How could anybody with a brain bigger than a pea look up to a Mitch McConnell, a Lindsey Graham, a Nancy Pelosi,
The guy who just did the coal deal out of West Virginia, Mnuchin or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
What a joke. What a bunch of scum that we have. Oh, you might take me off the air. How dare I call murderers and thieves scum? What war didn't they? Oh, the Democrats, $40 billion of our dough, 100% vote to go to Ukraine.
Yeah. All right. Also, Gerald, 87,000 more IRS agents in order to go after the corporations, they're saying. How is it really going to work?
It goes after the people. The corporations know how to beat this stuff. What are you kidding?
Yeah.
They play it out, man. Listen, I was the chief government affairs specialist for the chemical industry back in the 70s.
Before you got converted, right? To the
Well, I wouldn't know what I know if I wasn't on the other side.
Yeah.
I ran major political campaigns in Westchester County, the richest county in America, back in the 70s. I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate at 26 years old. At 28, I was staying at the Willard Hotel in DC and putting my meetings on at the Hay Adams. You saw pictures of me and Ronald Reagan when I picked him up to Chicago Hilton back in 1976. I'm 30 years old, 2 days before he's announcing he's going to run against Jerry Ford in the elections. Put on a brunch with him and 16 of our board of directors. I've been on the other side. I know how corrupt the system is. I know what a bunch of little clowns and arrogant little boys and girls are in charge. And the worst among them are the bureaucrats. All these, quote, government workers that can't get a job in the real world, that suck off and bow down to get where they're going. And then they become the most arrogant and authoritarian of the group, of the whole crew.
People are saying the midterms may change all that. There'll be a turnaround. What do you think?
Another group of crap come in. What piece of garbage do you like better? A lesser of two evils? How could anybody with a brain vote for a lesser of two evils? Evil is evil. That's like saying almost pregnant.
Mm-hmm. But even despite that, no matter who gets in, the faces change, but not the approach.
Yeah.
Like that, do you, a lot of people are saying, well, there's going to be a red wave. Do you think necessarily that's going to happen?
A what?
A red wave. Sweet.
I don't know.
I
don't know. It makes no difference. It makes no difference.
All right. So, Gerald, where does that leave us? I mean, is there any hope of things changing?
Unless the people do something, there's no hope. End of story. I have best friends that don't do anything. They complain. They know all the details. They don't do anything. Well, I'm doing everything I can. You think, the energy it took to put on this rally?
Yeah.
The place was packed. Out in the streets, the packed. The money, the energy, the time, and how sad I am that it's not going anywhere and that the people aren't standing up for the fight. And we have a lot of people have donated, no question, but no, not real money. Yeah. Where's the Musk money? Where's the Buffett money? Where's the Fink money? Hey, Fink! Where's the money for peace? Fink, Buffett, Bezos, Gates. Where is the money for the billionaires for peace? Screw you, Celente. We hate you. We hate you because you are an American patriot. You're a man that quotes people that we hate, like George Washington, who said many things, but among them,
don't get involved in
passionate attachment to one nation for another produces a variety of evils. Sympathy for the favorite nation, facilitating the illusion of an imaginary common interest in cases where no real common interest exists, and infusing into one the amenity and enmities of the other portrays the former into a participation in quarrels and wars.
Yeah.
One after another. And then he says, don't get involved in anything from Europe. This isn't like it's ancient history. The world didn't begin in 2021. It's been going on a long time. Europe has a set of primary interests, which to us have none, meaning that they've been fighting each other for centuries, or a very remote relation. Hence, she, meaning Europe, must be engaged in frequent controversies, fighting all the time, the causes of which are essentially foreign to our concerns. Hence, therefore, it must be unwise in us to implicate ourselves by artificial ties. He keeps going on.
And of course, Eisenhower, a Republican, and the general that led the Normandy invasion. And what did he say back then in his farewell speech about the military-industrial complex, which has grown even stronger and more pervasive in the years since Eisenhower was president, leaving office in 1960.
Yep, he said they would rob us of the genius of the scientists, the sweat of the laborers, and the future of the children. And here we are. And I guess these people that hate me so much because I'm a man of freedom, peace, and justice would also hate John F. Kennedy. Mankind must put an end to war, or war will put an end to mankind.
Are we closer?
It's begun. World War III has begun. Moron Pelosi going to aggravate the Chinese. What the hell do I care about what's going on with China? How many centuries has this been going on? Hey, you know about the Qing dynasty? What's a Qing dynasty? You don't know anything about it, or how they got the name. We used to be called Formosa when we were kids. You don't know? Oh, you don't know any of that? Oh, you don't know how the Dutch, Asian, what was it, the Dutch, how they were conquering every place, conquered the joint at one time? Yeah, people have no clue. It's none of my business. Oh, we're going to bring freedom and democracy as you're robbing it from us, and we have none over here, like you brought to Vietnam, like you brought to Korea, like you brought to Iraq, like you brought to Afghanistan, like you did to Guatemala, like you did to all over South America.
Well, Gerald, speaking of China, they've got our hooks into us every which way, and in other countries as well. And the deals that our own politicians on both sides of the aisle have been making with China, either for the benefit of their corporate donors or for themselves, as per Pelosi with her husband, better than Warren Buffett's success in the stock market, and Mitch McConnell's Chinese wife's family in the shipping business. So, I mean, they all have these deals going on. Is it inevitable now that China is going to rise and push out the U.S. as the dominant world power?
Yes, but they're hurting themselves too, on the economic end with their COVID lockdown. One of our trends was China 2021 last year, in the sense that the business of America is war and the business of China is business.
Yeah.
They got 1.4 billion people. We got 332 million. Look at the railroad. In one of the articles in this week's Trends Journal. Again, everybody, if you want to do something, subscribe to the Trends Journal. If you need to know what's going on, if you need to know what to do, then you need this magazine for the grand total of $2 a week. Nothing. The toilet paper record, the New York Times, Sunday, $6 for nothing. Yeah. So anyway, there's a whole article in there about Amtrak. How these clowns in Amtrak just gave themselves bonuses with ridership way down.
Yeah.
Amtrak, you know what the average speed is? Between 40 and 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But in China, the average speed is like, about 180 miles an hour.
Yeah, high-speed trains, high-speed transportation.
I mean, that's the average. They got trains that go like over 300 miles an hour.
Yeah. I mean, they're buying
the infrastructure we have. Look at this country going down in front of our eyes. Look at the potholes. Look at the rotted bridges. But we're going to we sent over $60 billion to Ukraine.
Yeah.
We sent almost as much money to Ukraine as is Russia's total defense budget.
Again, with China, they're buying their way to dominance.
Yeah.
And, I don't see any way around that now.
Yeah.
Now, before we close, are we in any kind of a recovery? I mean, Biden guys are already crowing about how it's beginning to turn around, all that. What's the real story?
You look at the numbers that came out on on Wednesday, the inflation numbers, they came in at 8.5%.
Yeah.
Equity markets go up 500 points. We thought it was going to come up at 8.7%. I'm not making this up. 8.5% inflation rate? What, are you kidding me? What are you kidding me? Oh, and you have an interest rate at 2.25, 2.50 basis points, Fed rate. Oh, and if I borrow money from the IMF, I got to put my interest rate 1% above inflation. So when you look at our average inflation rate now, it's what, about 8.6%? When you at the 3/4?
Yeah.
And so your interest rate should be 9.6%,
Yeah.
and you're only at 2.25, 2.250 overnight rate.
Yeah.
So the whole game is rigged. We have an article in our Trends Journal about how the Federal Reserve, New York Fed, just passed whatever they wanted to do to pump in as much money as they want into the equity markets if they go down. It's right there. And by the way, we got it from a great site called Wall Street on Parade. Wall Street on Parade.
Good.
Pam and Russ Martins.
Yeah.
And they really are into this. The whole game is rigged. There is no reality at all. But the rich have gotten richer. We've gotten poorer. You just saw the big tax breaks they gave. And to the, you know, we were young guys. There were no hedge funds or private equity groups. They didn't exist.
So, you know, this is another bleak forecast from the famed Trends Forecaster. Now, again, any light at the end of the tunnel, and how do
Only if the people do something. If the people don't do anything, it's hell on earth. Again, the reason I told you, the reason I own those 3 buildings is when I came back from Berlin, and I had never been there before. We were opening the magazine there in 2012, the Trends Journal. And it's trendsjournal.com, by the way, is the site. And Berlin was grander than Paris before it was bombed out.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in Paris.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, why didn't the people stop this before it was destroyed? You see all these beautiful German buildings, hundreds of years old, all new construction. Everywhere you look, beautiful, all new construction. Where were the people? You're losing. No different than what's going on in Ukraine. Not a peep about peace. Not a peep about peace. How dare you talk about peace? Quote, we're going to fight to the end. Oh, brilliant. Fight to the end until you're dead. So what I'm saying to you is that the people don't do anything. The Germans were at the height of Western civilization in the 1930s. Culturally, scientifically, philosophically. You leave the great German names, Bach, Beethoven, Wagner. I mean, look, how could they let this happen? And the same thing going on now. How can the people let it happen? If we don't unite for peace, we're finished. And we have Occupy Peace is my movement, occupypeace.com, and the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, Justice. Imagine that, freedompeacejustice.com, that we own that domain name. That shows you how far in those 3 words are. Freedom, peace, justice. And if you want religious vaccine exemptions, we offer them, we provide them. And they're very, very, we spent a lot of time and a lot of money to make sure that they're the best you can get. Freedom, justice.
All sounds very subversive to me, Gerald. I'm sure Merrick Garland may be looking at all this. He's going after everybody else who.
Oh, the guy that, you mean the Department of Justice said that went to Ukraine?
Yeah.
What did he go over there for? What are you doing over there? Oh, they're taking down a statue of Catherine the Great in Ukraine because they hate her because what she did to the Ukrainians. Oh, that went back to 1750. You mean it's been going back and forth since 1750? And you're telling me to get involved in this and America's going to fix it? I mean, what am I, 6 years old? No, but most of America's still in kindergarten. And the other ones haven't gotten out of high school. They're the ones running our country. The people you hated in high school that want to be class president, head of the student union.
Yeah, well, that's a good, if not distressing note to end on. Gerald Celente, best of luck to you. You've been doing so much over the years, spending so much of your own money on these events and your Trends Journal, which is a bear to put out every week. I mean, it's a vast articles, in depth and all that. Every week, meeting a deadline. I don't know how you do it. I put out a weekly newspaper for a while, and it was really tough. So, my hat's off to you.
Thank you.
And I hope, the people will become woke in a good way and begin a turnaround. We can only hope for that.
Well, again, the hope is the most negative word in the metaphysical dictionary. It means wanting something to happen without doing anything. So if the people don't do anything, don't subscribe, don't send any money for peace, don't stand up for peace, don't do anything. Sit there, watch television, and everything will be just fine. And by the way, on the television note, there's a great line from Richard Nixon. American people don't believe anything until they see it on television.
Or if they don't see it, it doesn't exist. Or if it's not in the New York Times, it exists, right?
Yeah.
So, Gerald.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gerald. Thanks for being with us, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay. Bye-bye now.